Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the First Class, Second Place podcast. I'm your host, Jason Enrique, and we got returning first class guests up in the building today. But before we continue, I want to remind everybody that we are live in Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. Shout out to Najee Beyond the Glass. Ladies and gentlemen, like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's just get into the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a recurring favorite first class guest up in the building today. She's one of my favorite people all time, and she's now officially First Class Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the host of Act Up with Alana J. Act Up, Alana J is in the building!
Hey!
What is going on?
What is going on, Jason Enrique?
I never, ever get tired of that.
Good.
Yes.
We got to record the song.
We should. I'm actually glad that we were able to make this happen because I originally booked you for the last episode of 2024, but you had some obligations.
I was sick that time.
Yeah, all right, we'll clean it up as that, so you weren't feeling well. But you were definitely missed, and I couldn't wait to get you back on. And now that I mentioned that this is your fourth appearance on the show now, so now you're officially Hall of Fame as far as First Class, Second Place.
I'm in the Hall of Fame,
Hall
baby.
Of Fame, baby.
Oh, wait, I had the audition, too. That was, around the same time.
Yes.
I was recovering from the sickness and had the audition. That was Yeah. There was a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, but either way,
I'm in the Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yeah,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters, and I'm glad to have you back here. So it's still very early in 2025, and it looks like the shit show's about to start again pretty soon, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But how is everything going on so far for you, Alana J?
Besides witnessing the world burning and, New Year's Day having a terrorist attack in the state that I just left living in.
Louisiana.
Right?
Yeah.
I hope everybody's okay down there.
Yeah.
I checked in with everybody I know, and everybody I know is fine. But, anyway, on a happier note, it's been a pretty good 16 days.
Yeah.
Jason, it's been a pretty solid 16 days.
Okay, I'm glad
to see 2025.
I'm glad to see that.
And today is going to be the best one yet.
I appreciate you saying that, and I'm glad that you're feeling that way because 2024 was an interesting year for both of us, differently respectively, to say the least. But 2024 did have some good things. Like you had the premiere of your amazing show, Act Up with Alana J, which now you can stream on all digital platforms. Recorded here at Bravery Studios, New Jersey's #1 podcast studio, as she likes to put it. Fantastic show. And I even told I told this to you, and I've told this to other people that we know mutually, that even if I didn't know who you were, I would be a fan of the show because your show is that fucking ill. I mean, I love what you do. You're a vet when it comes to this because you have a radio background. Unlike a lot of podcasters that are out here right now, you have a background in communications and radio, and you're supplying it to your show now, and it shows.
Oh, thank you. I mean, that means so much, especially because gosh, that chapter was so long ago. It feels like another lifetime ago. So, if any of that is coming through, then shout out to Rutgers. Well, not just Rutgers. You know what I mean? The internships,
Yeah.
Sirius XM, Z100. So I interned at a smaller station in Somerset, too, where my boss tried to argue with me about the pronunciation of Chipotle, but that's another story. Now I have to tell it. This man insisted it was pronounced Chipolati.
What the fuck?
I was like, I don't remember his name. He was some white man. Let's call him Sam. I was like, Sam, bro, you adding in 3 extra syllables, bro. But Chipolati? What do you wear? Yo, and mind you, I don't speak fluent Spanish, but I know it's Chipotle, bro.
Yeah.
Are you really gonna argue with me? The only one with any spice in this mother sucker. You know what I mean? Really? It was wild. He was getting really aggressive with it too, with that pronunciation. Anyway, neither here nor there. But all that to say, radio was definitely the dream. That was definitely the dream for a very long time. And I did what I could, I remember thinking that I was going to get hired at Sirius, and when I met with one of the higher ups, they were like, yeah, you need some experience. And I'm just like, did this not count, bro? Because y'all have me doing real production work. Y'all have me in the streets interviewing Jordan Sparks. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? I did segments. I've made segments for what do you mean? You know what I mean? So, anyway, I could have gone to a smaller market, but I wasn't about to leave New York at that time,
Yeah.
It was a very not to get morbid, but the day I found out about my internship at Sirius was the last day I saw my dad alive.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? So it was a very difficult it was a very difficult time.
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that just maybe felt like, and I feel like we've spoken about this on one
We
of the
may
other
have,
episodes.
yeah.
A part of me felt like, well, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I gotta, maybe just identity, existential crisis. So, but yeah, radio was always, that's what she wanted.
Yeah. Now, we've spoken about this before on my show before and also on your show. And by the way, thank you for having me on your show twice. That was a blessing. I really appreciated it.
And you'll be back.
Yeah, I can. I'm looking forward to it. But we've known each other since 2007 when we used to work at the restaurant that we always talk about, Maggiano. So it always seems to come up in some way, shape, or form. But I'm thinking from 2007 now to 2025. We didn't keep in touch throughout all of those years, but I'm looking back on everything that you were doing since, and I was like, holy shit, she really did a lot in that span of time that I don't know a lot of people that would have applied themselves in so much things as much as you have. And it just, I think that just goes to show the passion that you have, and you're always trying to chase your dream. And most importantly, you never really put yourself in a box. Like, you did radio, you've done acting, you've done theater, you've done it all. You lived a life that most people wish that they could.
Yeah, I mean, one, that was very beautiful. Thank you for saying that. And like, as Jason is sitting here saying, between this year and this year, I'm like literally racking my brain, like, what the fuck have I done? Like, what have I done? Like, you're right. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of different avenues, all creative expression. Yeah. Shorty needs to be heard. You know what I'm saying? So the acting, just, all of it. It's been a journey, and one thing really led to the other, and never in a million years did I think I was going to be an actor. Yeah. I started after college. Everybody, when I tell people I went to Rutgers, now that I am an actor, they're like, oh, Mason Gross. That's the acting school. That's the Mason Gross School of Arts. Okay. And I'm like, actually, economics. But now I'm going to let people believe that. Believe what you want to believe. But no, because Rutgers has one of the best theater programs in the country. I didn't know that at the time. I wasn't there for that. And it's hilarious. Oh my God. You know I have ADHD. I'm going to go all over the place.
No, listen. I always say on the show, it's like Tarantino. It starts at the middle and then the beginning and then the end. It's all over the place.
But we're going to be back and forth, all over the place. Right. So it's funny because I recently saw my college roommate. And she recalled, we took a class called Theater Appreciation together. It was an easy A, according to, the internets back then, ratemyprofessor.com and whatnot. I don't know if that's still around, but, and she recalled us going to see one of the plays for Theater Appreciation. And she was like, yo, I remember us going to see that play and you couldn't stop talking about it. And lo and behold, the play she was talking about was written by my now favorite playwright, Stephen Adly Guirgis. Okay. So, and the fact that she remembered it, it was called In Arabia We'll All Be Kings. Okay. That's the name of the play. The Rutgers School of Arts put that on, and we had to go see it for class. And she told me when I went to see her just a few months ago, she was like, I remember you could not stop talking about it. I'm like, that is crazy, because that is my favorite playwright. I don't remember going to see that play in hindsight. So it's like, I've always been this person. It was just giving myself the permission to get out of my own way and actually allow myself to be who I'm meant to be and not listen to what everybody else told me I should be and what I need to do and what all the shoulds. You know what I mean? Which I feel like is one of the most pointless words in the English language, but that's another conversation.
Right. No, it's you bring up a good point. And I actually had a conversation with somebody about this not too long ago where there was a time, sometime when you and I stopped working at the restaurant that we used to work at, and I was in the wilderness. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do in my life. Initially, I wanted to do music, but it didn't pan out. I don't want to go through all that again, but I was really lost in the wilderness, and there was a period where I was just following what everybody else was telling me. Right. Long story short, I finally came to a realization that forget about what my mom wants, forget about what my family wants, forget about what my colleagues want, forget about what my friends want. What the fuck do I want, you know? And I thought that was something that I wanted that didn't pan out, and I just kind of gave up on it subconsciously. Yeah. And then I started listening to everybody, and it just made me even more miserable than I was before when my previous plan A didn't work. Right. So I had to figure it out all on my own, and it was scary because I'm still a young guy in my mid-20s. I don't have everything figured out, even though I think I do. And when life humbles you and all that cliche shit that happens, it is a reality. And I had to basically look back to see ahead. And there's just been so much that has gone on between it. But the point of it is that finally, when I realized the question that I really need to ask is what I want, that's when I decided to pivot and shake off whatever imposter syndrome that was hindering me and
Closeted greatness.
Yes, closeted greatness.
Closeted greatness. You don't got imposter syndrome. You got closeted greatness. Get out the closet.
Yes, point well taken. But yeah, basically, I had to just go through that and figure out what it is that I wanted, and I haven't been happier. I've been happy ever since about it.
Good.
Yes.
Get some claps for that. Clap it up for the happiness. Clap it up for that. Sorry, Najee, I'm bossing you around. My bad. It's the Napoleon complex. Yes, you're absolutely right. What do I want? And it's just, when I feel like so much of becoming who you're supposed to be as an adult is really returning to who you were as a child. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That kid, like, little kids don't give up about what nobody thinks. Like they stick their hand in they booty and then they scratch their face. What is, you know what I mean? Like, they just do them unequivocally, and
they're too brutally honest.
That's who.
Yeah.
That's who. Kids do say the darndest things, but that's. As far as my journey goes, so much of it has been returning to who I was. I was in therapy recently. Well, I'm still in therapy regularly, but like one of my recent sessions, my therapist asked me when the first time I acted was, and I was sitting there like, when was it? And I was like, actually, I was really little. I was really little. I was in a YMCA camp, and we did like a version of The Wizard of Oz. Why did I say Oz like that? The Wizard of Oz.
Little Brooklyn in you.
We did a version of The Wizard of Oz, and
little Barbra Streisand in you.
Yeah, that's a compliment. I played Dorothy. I got cast as Dorothy. I got cast as the lead, and I was one of the youngest camp. I was like on the younger side of the campers, and we like did it. We made it like a swimming pool version of The Wizard of Oz. I couldn't tell you, but that was the first. That was technically the first time I ever acted, but. That was the only child acting I ever did. Yeah. And as I was talking about it, like I was smiling the whole time, and I was just like, wow, like this really is like kind of who I've always been. I guess I was just, I'm a recovering people pleaser, You're raised to do what your parents tell you to do. You're raised to make them happy, and love unfortunately was conditional, or it felt that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of just you go back to the version of you that didn't have any programming, and that's the version of you that's your essence. That's the real you. And I've always been a performer. I've always been a performer. Me and my friends would make up dances, choreography, and perform them like on our own volition. No adult supervision.
Right.
We got together and said we're gonna make a dance, and we made a dance, and that shit was popping. Yeah. Even in third grade. Okay, shout out to Mr. Burmester.
Yeah, and it kind of surprised me when you said you didn't really become an actor until after college, because I was under the impression that because I've known you since when I knew you, when we worked together, that you were always performative. You were performative everywhere we went, whether we were working on the clock or off the clock. There was just a performative sense about you all the time, and that's just in your nature. So I naturally assumed that these were things that you had already done. You went training for when you were younger, and this is just me naturally assuming it. But that was the sense that I got because of your performative personality, and to actually find out that you officially made it your calling after college. It's kind of crazy to hear that, because I thought that this was something that was with you all along.
Well, it was, but not. I wasn't dedicating my life to it.
Gotcha.
I was always doing something creative. Obviously, I was a competitive figure skater, which is a sport, but it's also an art, right? You're storytelling with your body, with blades on your feet on ice, which is like, if you think about it, it's kind of freaking crazy. It's wild, but yeah, so that was my first job, technically, really, because I would wake up before school, go ice skate, go to school, get straight A's, go home, skate again, rinse, wash, repeat, skate, be at the rink all day Saturday, Sunday was usually my only day off. So there was that, and as far as dancing goes, like, I took classes and stuff here and there and whatnot, but you know how it is. Like, if that's not something that, I don't know, not for all kids. Like, I really admire the people I know who from a young age were just like, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. and stuck to their guns about it. But I was very much like, I'm a good girl. I'm going to listen to my parents. That was also a big part of my personality, being obedient. And the things that I was interested in were just simply not taken very seriously. And, that's no shade. That's just what it was.
What things weren't taken seriously, you felt?
Oh, performing.
Okay.
Performing. Like, Jason, you could not ever catch me not singing.
Right.
But never did, like, my parents be like, oh my gosh, maybe this is something we should have her do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And anyway, there was one time that I asked for singing lessons, but that's a whole other story. That didn't happen back then. I did ask as a kid, but it was just like, I was waiting for permission, I think.
Okay.
I think there was a part of me that was waiting for permission because, again, I was a very obedient kid.
I see.
Pleasing my parents was important as much as if I want to act like that's not the case. No, it was very important for me, for my parents to be happy and for me to make them happy.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I really didn't acknowledge and admit it until very recently. Especially on the last episode that I had with a mutual friend, Jenny Ruiz. Shout out to Jenny Ruiz. I love that episode. Those kind of opportunities were presented to me pretty early on when I was younger because one thing that I kind of locked away and threw away the key up until I opened it up recently was there were very small moments, but there were moments where I was performative. Like I was doing kind of sing-alongs because I had a thing for, Disney movies back at the time. One in particular that came to mind was Hunchback of Notre Dame. I remember I used to sing those songs all the time, and little did I know that I wanted to do something and perform it. I just loved for the music and for the lyrics and for what it was.
Yeah. And
there was a moment where specifically my father was wondering if that was something that I was interested in doing because he sees that I'm actually doing this a lot more and I'm having fun with it. And instead of acquiescing to it, I just said no because I didn't feel very confident in myself. I felt a lot of discouragement. And, you also listen to other outside noise where I just didn't want people making fun of something that it doesn't seem very masculine. I feel that.
I mean, not specifically to the masculine degree, but like to listening to the outside noise, I'll give you another example. Like in 5th grade, me and my girlfriends were the Spice Girls. We were the Spice Girls. I went on my Macintosh computer and I was sporty. I printed out concert tickets. Okay, and I cut them up and I gave them out at recess. Like, nice. Hey, the Spice Girls concert is happening. Get outside after lunch. It's going down. And I remember there was one time I was singing. I think it was the song "Too Much," and Melanie C. Sporty Spice was arguably like. She I don't want to say she was the best vocalist of the Spice Girls, but she would generally always have the highest notes.
Okay.
So I'm Sporty Spice. I'm singing her parts. I have the highest notes. And there was one note that I cracked on one day. And I don't want to say that was like a little T trauma, but like I remember feeling so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I was so ashamed. It definitely wasn't the last time we sang. But still like to your point, there was reaction. There was reaction, and that was and I did internalize that a little bit, and that did affect my confidence a little bit. Just that one incident. Just that one incident.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like one comment, like one thing someone says to you as a kid can affect you.
I believe that because this I might get in trouble for saying this, but I'm always just going to preach honesty on my show. I will never forget there was a time where I did talk about possibly wanting to perform, like start acting and directing, more directing than acting, because I felt like I wanted to hide behind the camera so people wouldn't see my face. And me and my mother were having this kind of argument. I don't remember exactly what it was. I just know that it was petty. And to basically win the argument, she just said, you're never going to make it in Hollywood. Now, I'm not trying to say that I was trying to make it to Hollywood. It's just that she's not a creative herself. So that was just like the low hanging fruit as far as verbs and words can go.
Yeah.
But in so many words, she was just saying, oh, you're never going to be successful in that. And I guarantee you won't. And that stuck with me for a very long time. And I don't think that she remembers her saying that. It was just one of those things where she was just trying to win the argument and have the last word. But little did they know, that our parents know sometimes, that can have a long-lasting effect. And I don't even think that she knows that to this day. If she watches this right now, she won't remember it, but I don't think she would think that I'm telling a lie.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate, but I think that was our parents' way of trying to protect us, by not encouraging us to go down that path. Like my father did sing when he was a kid. My sister is a singer.
Okay.
I talked about this on my show, just like being a teenager and hearing my dad talk about my sister singing in a negative way, and I internalized that as well. Like, okay, then yeah, dreams aren't real, you know?
Right.
Like dreams aren't real, because look at how my dad is talking about it, because my dad was literally the center of the universe in my family unit. And you know, I was just like, all right, well, let's forget about that, you know? Now we're gonna look stupid if we say we want to do this thing, because if she can't do it, why can I do it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that was just like the conversation in my mind in that moment. But yeah, I do think that it came from a place of like not wanting us to struggle.
Yeah, it possibly, but knowing the family, me personally, knowing the family dynamic, it was just a moment of pettiness. But little did they know that it would have a long-lasting effect until I finally shed it. Now,
yeah, I mean, my mom used to call me a jukebox. People would tell me to shut up all the time. People would tell me that I could. I mean, not my parents. My parents wouldn't tell me to shut up or that. Well, sometimes they did, but you know, like people would tell me, "Oh, you can't sing. You can't sing." You know, even at Maggiano's. You remember? I'm not going to name names. Well, I was about to, but there's a specific somebody who like was really malicious to me, very malicious to me in many, many ways. And yeah, she was one of those people constantly telling me like to shut up and that I couldn't really sing and what have you. So anyway,
you're gonna have to spill the tea sometime after the show.
Yeah.
But
if I saw her in the street, I slapped the shit out of her. No, I wouldn't. Or would I? I don't know.
You can't be catching cases out here in 2025.
Listen, stay tuned to the socials. If I go viral for beating a bitch ass, you know who it is.
Okay.
Well, you will.
Speaking of which, where can they find you on the socials?
AlanaJ.tv.
Yes. Some of the best content you will see out there on the internet, people. Trust me on this.
Oh, stop. Yeah. Where are we going?
So what I was going at is, it's amazing how things could be put in perspective based on perception, and I'll try to explain and give some context what I mean by that. So I've talked about this on my show before, that I've often felt like the black sheep in my family for a bunch of myriad of reasons. But just to kind of condense it more, it made me realize that there's nobody in my family that is musically inclined or talented or in the arts or anything like that. There's nobody on my family, not on my father's side, not on my mother's side. Maybe for the exception of maybe one or two cousins, but it's still very early. They're still very young, and hopefully it works out for them in the future. But as far as like my era, there was never anybody that was doing music or was in the arts or wanted to do something of this and that. They always just stayed mundane lifestyles, and that's fine. If it works for them, that's fine. Some of them are some of the most successful people that I know, externally and internally. But the point that I'm getting at here is, instead of worrying too much about why I'm not fitting in with everybody else's perception or lifestyles or just validation, I feel like I was able to flip it and realize that, hey, maybe everything that I'm doing as far as creative wise, whether it's podcasting, whether it's acting, whether it's whatever the case may be that has to do the creative wise, maybe that's just a sign that I am supposed to be doing this after all, because nobody else in my family on both sides are talented or musically inclined or anything like that, but I feel like I am, and I'm
because you are.
Yeah, I'm excelling him in certain degrees, and that instead of just, I flipped it, and it made me realize that instead of focusing on why am I so much of the black sheep of the family, I just flipped it on it and said that, you know what, maybe this is a sign that I am supposed to be doing what I want to do anyway at the end of the day.
Well, here's the thing, and it's interesting because I'm listening to this book right now. I've read it before, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Okay. And one of the chapters is called The Big Snooze, which basically just talks about like how many people are just like sleepwalking through life. They're just not even in tune with their higher self. They're not even in tune with their own authenticity. They don't even have the ability to be self-aware and tap into that stuff.
I fell into that pit from 2014 to 2018. Okay. I was in that space.
Yeah, I was in that space. I mean, really, I really wasn't in a big snooze. I was in a big blackout from like 17 to 28. And well, yeah, I did start acting during that time. Honestly, like I was like, I can't stop talking about my therapist. I love her so much. But yeah, I mean, I tell her, like, acting saved my life, you know? Like, it really saved my life. It really did. And when I started, I didn't know the steps. I literally started, and there was just something in me that just clicked. Like, yeah, clearly I'm meant to do this. Like, this is clearly what I should be doing. Mm-hmm. I am made for this. I am meant for this. And people ask me, how'd you start? I'm like, I took an acting class one day, and the rest is history. Because it really was that simple. Like, I started, and I was just like, I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to get excellent at this. And I'm going to make it. Because the only way I'm not going to make it is if I quit. So, you know?
Now, obviously, you mentioned that you went to Rutgers, and you went there for a different reason as far as, like, your majors went.
No, I went there because my dad bribed me. That's why I went there.
Yes, okay. We did speak about this on Act Up.
That's the only reason I went there.
Okay, all right. But the point that I'm getting at here is...
And I was terrified of my dad. So
okay.
That's why I went there.
So,
just saying,
right.
No cap. Rest in peace, Pops. You probably ain't here somewhere floating.
So, but you decided to go full throttle with this, and you wanted to get your education in this. What was it about LSU specifically that made you want to go to that place to study theater and acting and all that good stuff?
Really, it was COVID. The short answer is COVID.
Okay.
Because, I'll tell you the long story. I auditioned for a bunch of master's programs in 2017. And it was through this program called the URTAs, which is, I believe it stands for the University Resident Theater Association. About 50 MFA programs get together, and it's one audition for all 50 programs. So it took place at a hotel. I don't remember which one. I did it in New York and San Francisco because the main reason I signed up for the program, the auditioning program, the URTAs, was because I wanted to be seen by UCLA. And I thought UCLA was going to be in New York. They were not. So I was like, shit, now I have to go do it in San Francisco because UCLA wasn't here. And Yale was having auditions in San Francisco at the same time. So I was like, I'll just do both auditions that weekend and also make like a little trip. It was around my mom's birthday. Anyway, that's the long story. So did the audition back then, got a bunch of callbacks, got way more callbacks in San Francisco than in New York. I was very surprised. Way more California schools were interested in me than the schools that came to the New York audition. So, but who was at the New York audition was LSU. LSU gave me a call back. I remember meeting with Nick, who eventually was the head of my program. And, I didn't get an offer back then. I didn't get any offers back then. In fact, I did get a call back from UCLA as well. And I potentially could have gotten an offer from them, but the head of the program was like, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. He didn't use these exact words. I'm going to keep it a buck with you. If money is an issue, don't come here. Straight up, like that. If money is an issue, if you do not want to go into $100,000 of debt, do not come here. Or whatever the number was.
Right.
Either way, a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know? So I was like, I absolutely do not want to go into that much debt. I don't. I'm not going to go.
Right.
You know? And that was that. And I was honest with him about it. I was like, yeah, sorry, not for me. Fast forward 3 years later to COVID. And I was doing a virtual comedy show. Somewhere along the way, I started doing comedy. I did improv first, then eventually started doing stand-up and everything else. I sent out an e-blast about this virtual hilarious show that we did during COVID. And the head of my program replied. And he was like, I love seeing that you're creating your own opportunities for yourself. I have to get creative about recruiting for the next cohort of MFAs. Maybe now's a good time. I know it didn't work out before, but maybe now's a good time for you to get your degree. And, I thought about it. I'm like, oh, God, older now. Like, do I really want to do this now? Is it too late? I really thought that right around this time of my life, I'd finally get married. I'd finally start a family. That's where I thought I would be. I was just talking to a friend the other day, for women around my age, if you, even whether or not you were single or in a relationship, it kind of put, you either had a kid or, it just put so many of those big things pertaining to the biological clock, I feel like in a chokehold. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but me and her felt that way. So, and eventually when I spoke to the head of the program afterwards, I was like, yeah, I'll think about it. He called me, what do you think? And I was like, honestly, Nick, like the only reason why I wouldn't want to go is because of a person that doesn't even exist yet, which is a potential husband and or child that I don't have right now that I thought I would have by now. So fuck it, I'm gonna go. I accept.
Wow.
And that's what happened.
Wow.
And then I went. So yeah, everybody's like, what, like Louisiana? Like you went from New York to Louisiana? Yeah, first of all, it was full tuition was paid.
Yeah.
I didn't pay any tuition. So technically for both my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, I got a full scholarship. And I was going to be a graduate assistant. So I had the opportunity to teach as well as get my education and perform and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I got a stipend for that. So my tuition was covered and I got a very small stipend, but still I got a stipend. That covered my rent, which was a gift,
Basically a grant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I just found it all fascinating because I was under the impression that LSU, because I'm a college dropout. I went to community college and it didn't finish. I'm not very well versed in the education system like that, but I was under the impression that maybe LSU was like a program that was like sought after for actors in theater that I wasn't aware of. So that was just something that I thought was what drew you to that in the first place. That was just my assumption.
Yeah, no, it just honestly, and thank God, because I definitely have executive dysfunction. It can be really hard for me to make decisions when presented with too many options, So the fact that it worked out that way, I'm eternally grateful. And it was a 2-year program. So a lot of these, it was 2-year intensive. So, it was 6 semesters straight through. So summers, it was fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, summer. So 2022, girl, she was on a sprint. She did not stop it. I did more in 2022 than I think I did in the previous 5 years combined. It was insane.
Possibly, but I didn't keep in touch with you in 2022. But no, actually I did, because I started this podcast in 2021. So yeah, we knew each other back then.
Yeah.
We connected at that time. But the point that I'm getting at is,
we were in touch when I was in school.
We were. I do remember now. But the point that I'm getting at is I feel like that drive never went anywhere. Like I know that you said that you were doing a lot more back then, but I just feel like that drive that you had back then is still even as strong as it was back then to this day.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's gone anywhere. I think if anything, it's evolved into even more of it, and it's just a wonder to see.
Thank you. I mean, I think before I was definitely still in some exploratory phase, and as an artist, you're forever exploring. Forever exploring.
Oh yeah, I don't think it ever goes away. Like you could be you could be fucking Gene Hackman, who's retired long now and is an accomplished actor, but even at one point, it felt like it was never going to stop for him, like chasing that.
Yeah, and now I think I know myself as an artist more. I think that was my goal when I went to grad school. And this is the thing. People are like, oh, you're really going to put your career on hold to go to school right now? Well, yeah, first of all, like, the industry is still in shambles from the fucking pandemic. So things are not it's not business as usual right now. So let's not get it twisted that things are just the way that they were. They're not. So that was one. And 2, I was like, there's no way I'm going to put myself through this program and not come out a better artist. Yeah. There's no way. I'm not going to go through this and come out worse. There's absolutely no way. I'm only going to get better. It's only going to help me. It's only going to help me discover who I am as an artist. And that's what I did. Like, I really found my voice, like literally and figuratively, like using my voice, Like, there were things that I taught that have taken my acting to the next level. And the learning never stops either. I will continuously learn and be in class and all of that.
You're a student of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like I will always go back to basics. I'm never. I treat everything I do as a performer as though I am a beginner.
Right.
And that is how that once you think you've got it, you're done. You know what I mean?
I know some people that have actually fell into that mentality, and it hasn't been smooth sailing for them ever since.
Yeah, because their ego gets too big
exactly,
for their
yes.
freaking britches. So, I mean, I have a big ego. Don't get it twisted, but I I also, especially when it comes to my art, I know how to humble myself. And on the subject of humility, really quickly, it is knowing your strengths as well as knowing your weaknesses. So knowing that you're good at something is not arrogant or cocky. It is a part of humility. You need to know what you're good at.
Absolutely. Switching gears here a little bit. So you had just mentioned before that you're going to therapy now, and it's been fantastic for you and everything. And
yeah, a lot of tears. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm actually in the process of starting therapy myself, especially now that I've finally been able to get medical insurance.
Restarting, because you've been in therapy before.
Yeah, and then afterwards, a whole bunch of stuff that I won't even get into stop me from, preventing me from going. But now I'm looking back into getting to it because there's been so much that has been going on that I feel like that I still need a lot of work in order to get to where I really want to go and beyond that. And I was recently watching a podcast called The Pivot. It's with Ryan Clark and a bunch of other guys that I can't think of right now, but their guest was Peter Rosenberg. And it was actually a very, very deep and personal interview that I never saw Rosenberg ever in that light before. And the biggest takeaway that he said was, when it comes to, people tend to have addictions. Some people are addicted to drugs. Some people are addicted to alcohol. Some people are addicted to whatever the case may be.
People, food, everything.
Yeah. My addiction, he says, his quote was, "My addiction was validation of other people." And when he said that, I kind of felt like a light bulb went in my head that I never thought about before, where maybe the reason I was in a dark place for the last couple of years up until recently is because I felt like I needed to get a validation from a bunch of people. And even when I did get some, in certain respects, from other people, it still wasn't enough because I was searching it from people that I thought I would never get it from. And it just opened my eyes to, I didn't think I could view something like that as addiction, and it would consume me to the point where it was blocking my blessings, or whatever you want to call it, or, blurring my vision to whatever the goal was for me to reach. And I feel like when something like that happens, and I legitimately feel like maybe that was my problem. I feel like maybe us, especially being an artist, and you talked about this before, as artists, we have a sense of needing a validation. And I think that I was going way too hard for it, and I just can't wait to start therapy and start talking about these kind of things and start to work on myself. But I just thought it was an interesting thing that I heard, and a light bulb went off in my head, and now I feel like that's the next step that I want to take going forward in this journey called life.
Dude, 1000%. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. Validation, being addicted to attention is real. Being addicted to validation is real. It's very real. And like you said, a light bulb went off. Like that wasn't even something that you even considered. And it wasn't for me either. You know this, like I've gone to 12-step meetings, and for many subjects, for many things. And love was one of them, that just to see, just to explore. And it was in that meeting that people were talking about their validation and attention addictions, to the point where I never thought about this, but there are some women who confuse the attention of a man as they think they like someone simply because they're giving them attention. And that becomes a slippery, because it's not like they don't, then they take a step back and they're like, well, wait a minute. I actually don't even like this person. I just like that they're giving me attention. We need to unpack this. So, yeah, anyway, it's all about being self-aware. And there, the work never stops, man. There's always, it's like whack-a-mole. Because I stopped, and when I stopped drinking, my issues in relationships is what came to the surface. Like, once you get a handle on one thing, you see something else, and you're like, all right, well, got to apply the same grace and the same work to deal with this next thing.
Right.
So.
There was even a moment where I don't know if you remember this, but not long ago, this was definitely a moment of me seeking validation. I was actually seeking validation from you, because this is a while back, maybe about a month ago or so, because We're both actors.
Oh, with the acting?
Yeah, because and just let me contextualize it for the audience that they're not aware. So obviously, I do care about this art craft, and I do want to take it seriously, especially considering that this is something that I feel like I wanted to do ever since I was a kid, but I never applied myself until recently. But there's not enough credits to my name, and I know that it can get frustrating at times. And when I'm surrounded by so many great, talented people like yourself and other people that we know mutually, sometimes I feel like I may be a little bit out of place because my resume may not be longer as yours, or maybe I don't know, some of the ins and outs of how it is to, to work in the business per se. And I just wanted to, I guess my own insecurity, I was wondering, like, I need to know from somebody that has actually done it, has been in a film, has done all these projects, that is, union, your official tissue, all of that stuff. I wanted to make sure that compared to other people that I may know that are in the same realm as I am, that I'm not doing it for the reasons they're doing. And I wanted to make sure, I guess,
well, who cares why they're doing it?
Yeah, no, but that's the point that I'm getting at. I'm trying to shed that off where I don't even give a fuck about what anybody else thinks. It's more important about how I feel about it.
Yeah, 1,000%. And honestly, I don't know if I said this when you asked me that question, but what I thought about afterwards was, well, only you have the answer. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the question that is what you said.
Okay, all right. That's what I said. Okay, great. I'm glad, because it's true.
Yeah.
And I understand that because sometimes I need to use people as a mirror in that way too. I do that too. So I figure like he just needed to hear himself out. You needed to use me as a soundboard, I felt like, in that moment. I didn't really feel so much that you needed my validation as you needed to like hear yourself out loud.
Yeah.
Because
the actual question that I remember asking you was, is it fraudulent of me to actually feel this way? Like the way that I'm going about it, does it come off very fraudulent? Do I come off as a guy that's doing this for all the wrong reasons?
And I said no, but
right.
I also said only you know the reasons why you're doing these things. Not me. So
and that was the perfect answer in itself, because in some way you told me you don't think it's fraudulent of me. If I didn't ask the question, it probably would acquiesce to the fact of being fraudulent. But it was also what I needed to hear, that at the end of the day, I can only control what I think, and that's what you were right. You were a soundboard for what I needed to hear, and I felt better about it ever since. But that's just something that I wanted to share amongst the audience that's watching and listening right now.
I do, I catch myself. And I especially the older I get, the more when we're younger, we could just pick up the phone and call our friends and vent about every single thing that we needed to. But now we need to have better boundaries with those types of things, right? And that's something that I'm really working on. Like, does this person that I'm calling really need to hear this right now? Like, am I putting them in an unfair position right now by imposing, quite frankly, my own insecurities onto them and expecting them to alleviate me of that? Like, I catch myself, you know what I mean? I catch myself. I try to be very intentional and like pause and meditate now before I do things like that. But like before, I needed to call somebody about everything to make sure that what I was doing was okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But today is like, fuck it. If that's what I want to do, that's what the fuck I'm going to do. Period.
Yeah.
And if I don't want to do that thing, I'm not going to fucking do it. Period. It's really that simple. If it's not an enthusiastic yes, it's a no. If it's an enthusiastic yes to me, I'm going to do it. Let's go. Bars. Accidental bars. But it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So we have all the answers inside of us.
I believe so. And,
we do.
And it took me a while to realize that. And
we just need to sit in the quiet, and we need to allow ourselves to listen to the answers.
Yeah. With these last couple of years that you and I have reconnected and we started working together on podcasting and other stuff, I really feel, and I've told you this before, but I'll share it with you again and to everybody else that's watching and listening, that I really have appreciated the growth that I've seen within you from beginning when we first worked together to now. The growth and the layers of you have been exponentially great, and I love seeing that. And it's just funny how you went from a person that would tell that bitch to kick rocks to you dropping some of the most excellent bars sharing with me and my audience right now.
No, yo, tell that bitch to kick rocks was profound. That was philosophical.
You know,
all right?
sometimes you just need to hear the simplest thing that will floor you. You know, and at that point, I needed to tell that bitch to kick rocks.
You did. You sure did, with no shoes on.
With no shoes, Flintstone feet.
Yeah, I hope your toenails come up. No. Savage. Yeah.
So
I hope her feet are fine, but you know, back then I did not.
Yeah. And ironically, she was also an alumni too. But anyway, so it's now 2025. We're in a brand new year. I don't know what's going to happen with the next 100 days of what's going on. But regardless of what's going on in the outside world, how are you feeling going into this year? And what are some of the things that you're looking forward to going?
Oh my gosh. I will say I feel great about this year. I feel energized, re-energized, a little reinvigorated. Last year took a lot out of me, and I'm in a space where like I'm really getting back to me and reprioritizing my health and wealth. Shout out to my sister-in-law. Health and wealth. This is what we've been doing. 2025, health and wealth. That's it. I'm all about health and wealth. You know, if it's not a creation ship, I don't want it. If we're not creating, I don't want it. If we're not creating, if we're not elevating, I don't want it. I don't have time. I don't have space for anything other than positivity and forward momentum. That is all I have the capacity and bandwidth for.
Yeah.
Period. I'm going to be a hermit this year. If you see me, it's going to be because I'm doing a podcast, because I'm on stage, because I'm on set. That's it. Or at the gym. You're not going to see me.
Right.
Otherwise. I'm being very intentional about my time this year.
And as you should be. I think this is the year of Alana J, as far as I'm concerned. Like you already mentioned before, you have always been a people pleaser, but now it's all about yourself. Be selfish. Yeah, man. Please yourself. And just make sure that you go out with a fucking bang.
Sorry, I'm so perverted.
I know. It crossed my mind too.
I'm not gonna lie. I have been pleasing myself. I have. I just got toys for the first time, and let me tell you, men, you are about to be obsolete to me. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun.
Shout out to Bob.
I already broke one of my toys. That's how much I used it. But It's true. Anyway, reel it back. Where were we?
So going back to my train of thought.
Yes.
No, but the point is that I love this approach that you're taking because I know personally, from our talks that, our private conversations. Obviously we're not going to share here. That's going to stay between you and me. But the point that I'm getting at is, I know what has gone on in the time between time, and it had to do with a lot of, helping out others and the validation that we spoke about and everything. And I think that you realizing that you need to do things for yourself, and me knowing the strength and everything else that you have within you to succeed. That's why I'm feeling so optimistic for you, probably now more than ever going into this year. And I'm really glad to see that. I'm very confident that it's going to be amazing for you, and I can't wait to see it.
I feel the same. I feel like I keep on keeping on for a few reasons. One, because at this point I'm in too deep, and two, because like I feel whatever it is, like I feel something's coming. I don't know what it is, but I feel something's coming, and I'm just doing whatever I have to do to make sure that I'm in a place to accept and be in alignment with whatever that thing is. Because let me tell you, we're only going to get those big things when we're in a position to receive them, when we are ready. And I think I feel ready. I'm ready,
She's ready, ladies and gentlemen.
She ready.
She is fucking ready. And with that being said, we're coming to the close of this episode.
Oh, the whole thing? What? That flew.
Yeah, but I've been actually looking forward to this for a while because I've introduced a new segment. Not so new anymore, but it is a new segment nonetheless. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know what's coming next, we have now This or That. If you've never seen the show before, what happens is I will ask Alana J a series of questions, some basic ones. There's also some tailored ones around her. There's no right or wrong answer. You can just choose whatever you like best, and let's just have fun with it. And it gives the audience an opportunity to know a little bit more about Alana J.
Okay.
All right. So I've been looking forward to this for a while now because I'm looking forward to seeing your answers. All right. So are you ready, Alana J?
I'm ready. I'm nervous you're going to judge me.
No, not at all.
I'm nervous you're going to, because I know some of the questions you repeat, and I'm if I hear them, I'm going to be like, he might judge me.
Never.
Let's see.
All right. Are you ready, Najee? All right. Yeah, Alana J, you are ready. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go for this or that. You, Miss Alana Johnson. Playlist or podcast?
Podcast.
Slides or Crocs?
Slides. Fuck out of here. Sorry. I hate Crocs.
Beach or pool?
Pool.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
I lied. It's actually beach.
Okay.
Pool I'll work out in.
Okay.
But like just to be, I prefer the beach.
All right.
So my brain went to workout. That's why I said pool so quickly. But really the beach.
I think you need a vacation, girl.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm pale.
Dogs or cats?
Cats. I know.
Okay. No, nothing wrong with that. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Honestly, it depends on the day, but I'll say night owl.
Okay. This is probably going to be the last time I ever ask this question, depending on what's going on next week. Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram. I don't understand TikTok.
Well, it might not be here much longer anyway. To give or receive?
To give.
I love that. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
You know, deep down, I am an introvert.
Okay.
I'd rather be with one person than a group of people. You're not asking for explanations, but I'm a woman.
Batman or Superman?
Superman!
Okay. Iron Man or Captain America?
Captain America!
Are you glass half empty or glass half full?
Have fun.
Would you rather be embarrassed or be afraid?
I'd rather be embarrassed.
Would you rather be too hot or be too cold?
Too cold.
Do you prefer the window seat or the aisle seat?
Aisle seat. I gotta pee a lot.
Me too. Are you book smart or street smart?
Oh, fuck. Unfortunately, I'm more book smart.
This is not unfortunately.
I think so.
Do you prefer reading or writing?
Shit, that's hard. I'm gonna say writing.
Okay. Do you prefer ice water or room temperature?
Room temp.
Okay. James Cameron or Steven Spielberg?
Cameron.
Martin Scorsese or Quentin Tarantino?
Scorsese.
And then finally, teamwork or solo project?
Teamwork.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this or that. That is going to do it for this episode of First Class, Second Place. Thank you to the greatest guest of all time, Alana J, for coming through. One more time, anybody want to give a shout out to before we close out?
I'd like to thank the Academy. No,
No, manifest that shit, girl. Manifest it.
I would like to thank the motherfucking Academy, okay? I'd like to thank the Golden Globes. I would like to thank the Emmys. I would like to thank the Tonys. All of them, okay? Comedy Central, SNL. I'm gonna thank all y'all. No, but for real though. Shout out to Marv. Shout out to Najee. Shout out to everybody in the Bravery Familia. Shout out to my moms.
No.
Shout out to my mom and shout out to my dad, you know. Shout out to my dad, you know. He made me too. My brother, my sister. That's it, really.
Okay. All right. And show your socials one more time.
Oh, sure. I will show my socials. AlanaJ.tv. That's the website. That's the Instagram. It is the TikTok for now. Act Up with AJ. The podcast on YouTube, Act Up with Alana J. The handle is Act Up with AJ on Instagram. And I think that's really where I'm at.
Yeah, and let's not forget, it's Playing Sam on Roku, now available now.
Oh yeah, you can catch me. Look, you can catch me in Playing Sam on Roku, and this is a piece of content that I have to make because I'm in several films that are on Amazon Prime as well. The Next Step is one that you can see. Moth is another one that you can see. I like
Moth very much.
Sleepaway Slasher is another one that you can see that I'm in. Yeah, and if you can catch my episode of Law & Order, I forgot what episode number of it is, but DM me and I'll tell you.
Yeah, and also check you out on Raising Kanan.
Raising Kanan, and yeah, you can find my episode of Blue Bloods too if you want. So, she out here. Investigation Discovery, BET.com. Find me.
Ladies and gentlemen, she is official tissue. Thank you so much, Alana J. You know how much love and respect I have for you. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. You're officially Hall of Fame.
Woo!
Can't think of anybody else better. Thank you so much.
I'm initiated. I'm inducted, baby. I love that. I love you too. Thank you so much for always being such a supportive friend and for having me and for having an amazing conversation. That shit literally flew.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm trying not to cry right now, but thank you so much.
Aww, no cry. Let it out. Waterworks. Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much, Alana J. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at I am Jason Enrique on all social media platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube at Jason Enrique. Follow me on Apple, Spotify, all the digital platforms for your podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the support. We will see you next week. This has been the First Class, Second Place podcast. We out.